Hello, spooky friends, and welcome to another episode of the Scaryish podcast.
Woo!
I'm Robin Grace, this is Adam Diaz.
Hello.
And if you folks were waiting a whole week to listen to this new episode, hello, this is a week later. If you're new to the podcast, hello, it's your first episode.
Hello. That's a weird way to introduce us, but yeah, I guess it has been a week since the last one.
I just want to say hi to all the new listeners that we've been getting, thanks to our shout-out that we got from Jessica Braun, which
was super cool. And
we were really wondering why.
We noticed we were in growth mode. Like, not normal growth mode, but kind of extra growth mode. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, for anyone who might be joining or having this be their first episode, we do these every Tuesday. And then we'll read stories from you wonderful folks that listen that have sent them to us every Friday. And we have released an episode every Tuesday and Friday since December of 2017. We have never missed a release day. Not a once.
Really?
Not once.
Not
every
even like
single
late?
time. I mean, we've done it like, instead of at 4 a.m., like at noon.
Oh, okay.
We've never missed the day itself.
Nice.
So, pretty proud of that. We're very consistent, knock on wood. Hopefully nothing crazy happens where we have to postpone an episode, but we've been pretty good. We're at episode 145, which is a lot of topics, man. We've covered a lot of shit on this show, and I'm really excited that we've gone this far. So if you're new, welcome, and if you've been with us for the long haul, thank you for sticking around, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm pretty excited. Robin, what are you going to be covering this week?
I am going to be covering Pike Place Market.
Interesting. You sent me pictures that I can post on the Instagram, which is at Scaryish Podcast, by the way. So I'm wondering how these all tie together, and I'm excited to see that.
Because the pictures make no sense whatsoever.
Just very odd. I'm going to be covering The Beast of Exmoor. I am covering a cryptid, which is one of my favorite things to cover, and it'll be kind of fun. I'm excited to go through it, so I think you're going to be going first tonight, though.
Yeah, I will be going first. This is me going first. Okay. So this week I was just dead set on covering something with ghosts, because why not, right? I've been doing a lot of true crime lately, so I don't know. I wanted something a little bit more whimsical, I guess, and ghosts are kind of fun.
Paranormal, supernatural.
Fun. Just fun. I just wanted to do
ghosts
something
are
fun. Well, not the scary demon types of ghosts, but these ghosts are kind of fun.
Okay. Well, now I'm super interested then.
All right. So I'm covering Pike Place Market in Seattle, Washington. That's in the U.S. here. I'm sure everybody knows that. I don't know. But it's a place that I had no idea was haunted.
I didn't either.
I had no idea. I've always heard of this market as just having an amazing fish market.
Yeah, that's what I've always heard of it.
That's the only thing I knew about it, right? That it had this fish market, and that it's like the place where the people like toss the fish back and forth or something like that.
I remember seeing it on Top Chef when they did
Top
Chef. I think they did Top Chef Seattle.
Have you seen that season yet?
I don't know if we've seen that one together. There's only certain seasons that Robin's seen. I've seen all the seasons, but yeah, they take them to that market and they make them throw the fish.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay.
So I've definitely, like, that's what it means to me. I did not know it was haunted.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure if that was the place that had the tossing fish, but I assumed.
I'm sure they're not. They don't have a monopoly on fish tossing. I'm sure they do at other places, but yeah.
Sounds hot. Okay.
Fish tossing sounds hot. I need to stay off of Urban Dictionary because I don't want to find out what that is.
It is said to be one of the best fish markets, if not the best fish market on the West Coast, which is really cool. But I guess that's a lot of fish talk right in the first, 10 minutes of this episode.
Just wait till we get to my topic because it's going to be more animal talk.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Pike Place Market is located at 85 Pike Street in Seattle, Washington. And it first opened on August 17th, 1907.
Damn.
So that's a long time ago. It was actually started because people wanted to ensure that they were getting fair-priced food and goods. Apparently at the time, people were like, there's rumor going around of price fixing for certain things. So they're like, we're going to open this market so that people can just go around and shop and see all these different places and all these different prices and things like that. So I think that's really cool that it kind of has roots in wanting to be a fair place people can go, you know? It survived through the Great Depression. Supposedly, they even had the cheapest food in the area at that time, too, which is crazy. And it actually grew, you know? After the Great Depression ended, they were able to expand, which I think is absolutely awesome. It went through World War II. It went through the Vietnam. It's 1907. That's so long.
It's a very long time.
Yeah, it's just a really long time. So
it's been around longer since the last time the Cubs won the World Series before 2016.
This place has witnessed a whole lot of change. And obviously, Seattle has changed so freaking much. And it's just so cool to have this place kind of be this icon in the city of Seattle.
Right.
With over 100 years of history, it's not surprising that there are at least a couple spooks that haunt the place. And there are 5 particular entities that locals call by name.
5 entities? That's a lot of entities, man.
Well, there's not just 5 ghosts in there, though. There's a whole bunch of other things that happen in there, but there's like 5 that people know by name, okay? So, there's Princess Angeline. She's probably the most frequently witnessed ghost that hangs out in the area. Angeline was the daughter of a Native American chief of a tribe that lived on a nearby Duwamish reservation.
You said that with confidence. I'm pretty impressed with the pronunciation.
I don't know if that's how you say it, though. Okay, so back in the day, when people in the area were called settlers, they called her Princess. Her real name was actually Kiki Soblu, but I probably butchered the crap out of that, and I can't even imagine the settlers, like the early settlers, trying to remember her name.
So they just said Princess
So
instead.
they just called her Princess. And she acted as a mediator between the settlers and her tribe. What was commonplace in the before was outsiders would be signing treaties, kicking Native Americans off their own land. Assholes. Anyway, this happened to her people. So in 1855, a treaty was signed to force those people off of their reservation. She decided to stay in Seattle. And she worked in the laundry business and made hand-woven baskets to sell in downtown, She was kind of a familiar face in the area. Everybody knew her. She lived until 1896 when she died at the age of 85.
Wow.
So she lived a really long life.
This is the thing about that. It's incredibly long for the time. And her life was filled with untold tragedy and atrocity, and that is so sad.
Yeah, it's
to live
crazy.
a life that long and just be constantly tormented is just got to be so heart-shattering. So that's it's kind of not surprising she didn't move on and like rest in peace, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I'm very much wondering whether or not she's a peaceful ghost or whether she's like smacking the fish out of people's hands, like fuck
God.
your fish.
Oh my God! The locals gave her a proper funeral. And it was like super fancy funeral too, because everybody knew her and, everybody talked to her throughout her lifetime. They made a casket for her that was in like the form of a canoe. It was decorated all over. She's buried at the Lakeview Cemetery on Capitol Hill in Seattle. So it's not like they were just like, no, let's just dump her wherever, I think they really respected her and they treated her that way, which is nice. Since her death, there have been many that report having seen her. Supposedly, the market is built on the location of her former cabin. And I don't know how much of that I believe. Maybe it is, but I honestly wouldn't know, I'm just trusting whatever these people on the internet tell me, okay? But supposedly built on the former cabin. They often actually think that people that see her think she's a real live person. So they see her and then she just disappears. But she looks so real when they see her, which I think is absolutely interesting. She's seen as an old woman wearing a red scarf with the shawl around her shoulders and carrying a woven basket. That's one of the pictures that I sent you, was her sitting there in front of her cabin.
Still selling shit in the afterlife. That's pretty impressive.
She walks really slowly, seemingly not even touching the ground, which typical of ghosts, I think. Some say she's sometimes seen with a young Native American boy, too. Don't know where that comes into play or why.
Like maybe she had kids or something like that.
I didn't read anything of her having kids, so I'm not sure. There are reports that she's often sighted near a wooden column found in the center of the lower level. This place is huge, okay? This market is gigantic. So, lower level. Some say it always seems to be surrounded by cold air in that area. It's just always cold around that pillar. And that photos of the area show strange anomalies. I think that's kind of cool. I don't know how much.
It makes me want to go take photos there now.
I just really want to go to this place, period, because it's a big tourist attraction, you know.
It's got
they toss fish.
We love to eat fish.
Anyway, despite Native American shamans performing multiple exorcisms, she still seems to roam the area. So they've tried to, you know, help her pass on, but people still see her. So keep a lookout if you guys are, you know, hoping to see a ghost. Maybe you'll see her.
Must be some sort of object she's still tethered to. I don't know. I'm thinking supernatural-wise here. Like they haven't gotten rid of whatever thing is holding her to this plane.
I think it's just the history, or maybe it really is built on the site of her old cabin, and that's just where she
It's like, fuck you.
lived.
This is where I grew up.
Yeah.
This is my place. This is where I'm from. I'm staying here.
Then there's the ghost that they call the quote-unquote fat lady barber, which is hecka rude, but okay, whatever, if that's what you guys are going to call her.
It's pretty judgmental, yeah.
The formal name of this particular ghost, no one actually knows her real name, but this is also a regular to Pike Place Market.
That's, you know, just thinking about that more, that is a really rude name.
It's rude!
It'd be like if I passed away and 10 years from now, someone's like, this house is haunted by the fat podcast host. You can hear him at night, and at night I'm just like, woo! I was like, oh my god, it's him.
Oh my gosh. What? Oh man. If you haunt me and that's all I hear, I'm going to be so annoyed. Okay. So, that's assuming you die first, but you know.
You assume that way too often for my comfort. I'm gonna say.
So, the legend goes that there was a woman who worked at the market in the 1950s. She had a penchant for luring people into falling asleep with singing lullabies. And once they fell asleep, she'd steal all the cash that they had in their wallets. Why she haunts the place, you wonder? Well, let me tell you. It's interesting. So, it's said that a section of the barber's floor caved in, like just fell, before they were able to renovate the whole market, right? The floor fell out and she fell to her death.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So she's sad. Just kind of annoyed, or maybe she doesn't realize she's dead?
I mean, I would be annoyed if I fell through the floor and people called me the fat lady barber.
Yeah.
How fucked up is that?
I'd be like, I'm going to stay here and haunt y'all.
Oh my god. It's just rude. Okay, so rude. Janitorial staff claim to have heard her singing while they go about their duties at night. So I think that's pretty interesting.
Well, she's singing. That's nice. She could be wailing or like shrieking, but she's providing some much needed entertainment. She's
singing so she can steal the money out of your pockets.
Well, yeah, but I mean, she tries to reach for it now and
ow!
We just smacked hands on accident. Both pantomiming stealing from each other.
There's Jacob, so another ghost, Jacob, known to take up residence in what's called Bead Zone. I think that's the name of the shop. It's called Bead Zone.
So Jacob from Pacific Northwest. Is this the one who imprints on a child?
Oh my god, shut up! I love Twilight.
I hate those. I hate them so much.
Okay, so Jacob is known to take up residence in Bead Zone, which is supposedly a popular arts and crafts shop. The owners, Ram and Nina, have named the entity that haunts the shop themselves, so they gave this ghost their name. Why Jacob? I don't know. Maybe it just felt like a Jacob. You never know. I don't know how people choose these things. Like at Sally House, the people were just like, nah, it's a Sally. Yeah. So it's interesting.
A lot of listeners that send in stories to us also say that they have a ghost in their house and they just give them nicknames. Yeah. And, I mean, as long as it's not insulting, I don't think the ghost... Like, the people get nicknames all the time, you know? It's just
Fat Lady Barber.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Bullshit.
You don't have to be rude about your nickname, but yeah.
All right. So, yeah, these names kind of just stick, you know. You tell the story over and over again and people just remember it. So the origin of this ghost is pretty unknown. Like, no one actually knows how this ghost died. No one knows who it is. You know, they're just giving this entity a name. But what's speculated is that he was probably a stable boy in the long, long time ago.
You keep saying the long.
No, I said the before four. That's a long, long time ago.
I have one of those references. Yeah, I have the long ago. I'm looking at it right now.
So it's because there's no actual dates, though, that I say that. So before the market was probably the market, a boy worked in a stable. And they say that because the shop occasionally smells like hay and manure. Gross. Just saying. I would be annoyed at my landlord if my shop periodically smelled like crap, because
What if it activated your allergies too? Like if you were allergic to hay and you're just, there's
No.
no hay anywhere, but I can't stop scratching my eyes.
I don't think that would happen.
That would suck. That'd be horrible.
Yeah. I don't think the smell of hay is what gets people. It's like the actual hay. Hay. Okay, so I'm sure we're all aware of child labor laws. And back then, kids just worked all the livelong day. People just made them work. They didn't have laws like we do now, you know. And that definitely didn't bode well for the life expectancies of children back in the day.
That makes sense.
And so that's what they think happened. Jacob is one of those harmless ghosts that just happened to be incredibly active. When the shop first changed ownership, apparently they were like renovating or something, and there were strings of beads that were found within the walls. And how you wouldn't just be like someone randomly stuffing beads in the walls and then instead just jump to it's a ghost, it is strange to me. But maybe there was a reason why.
Maybe there are already sightings, and when you find something weird, you just start connecting dots that might not necessarily connect.
Yeah, the wall hadn't been accessed in years, I think. So it was kind of odd. Like the bead store hadn't existed yet, but they found beads in the walls. And I think that's kind of what was the tipping point where they're like, that's weird, you know? Anyway, they figured that the ghost had been hoarding the beads within the walls because he liked them, which I find strange, but okay. So Nina, one of the owners, has reported several incidents where her inventory was rearranged and sometimes missing altogether. That could be a bad employee, who knows?
Yeah, I can see a bad employee stealing shit and then being like, you have ghosts. It's really scary.
The cash registers also open and close on their own at night. There was also an instance where Nina was having a heated conversation on the phone, like an argument with someone on the phone, when strands of red beads hanging on a wall hook kind of just came crashing to the ground. She said that she was a skeptic before, but when that happened, it was like there's no reason for those beads to have fallen off that hook. And so she's like, I'm a believer now. You know what I mean? Despite the mischief, they keep a small cart and a basket of toys in an area of their shop that they call Jacob's room, which is kind of creepy but nice, I guess.
It is, yeah. It's like you're trying to appease something that might not be there, but hey, you might as well try.
What if it's not even the spirit of a boy? What if it's like a demon?
Well, it has some toys to play with now.
Oh my god. Okay, so the next entity is Madame Nora, the psychic. She is the former owner of what was known as the Temple of Destiny, which is a pretty cool name, just saying. I just think that's awesome.
That's what I call my body. The Temple of Destiny.
Oh my god. She was kind of a typical psychic. She read crystal balls, she did Egyptian sand divining, as well as a number of other like fortune-telling things. Typical psychic stuff, I think. It's said that she hangs around at a shop called Sheila's Magic Shop, where she inhabits a crystal ball.
If I'm looking for like an old lady to impart the ways of nature and magic and the nature of weird things to me, I'm definitely going to look for someone's magic shop named Sheila's Magic Shop.
It's a pretty cool looking magic shop. I really do want to visit this market, like really freaking bad. I've never been to Seattle.
I've never been to Seattle either.
What?
We should go.
We should totally go. That'd be fun. Yeah, dang it. I really want to go. Okay.
We should kind of make this a Patreon goal. It wouldn't be a bad idea when, you know, the world opens back up and travel isn't so crazy anymore.
When the West Coast isn't on fire.
That too, yeah.
All right. So, she's trapped in a crystal ball. Apparently, the crystal ball was given to a shop called Pharaoh's Treasures. An elderly woman wanted to barter at this place, at Pharaoh's Treasures, for a scarab. Why she really wanted a scarab, I don't know.
She probably just saw the mummy and was like, that looks really cool.
Yeah, it's going to wake up and dig into your skin and eat your brains out. Lots of far-fetched things in this kind of psychic story, but I'll go on. The woman told the place, Pharaoh's Treasures, whoever she was trying to barter with, right, told them that Nora's spirit was stored within that crystal ball. And the shop owner was like, yeah, whatever, I'll take it. Here's the trade. Here's your scarab. And, I mean, who would believe that, right? Who would think, like, yeah, I better not take it. There's a spirit in there. It's like, this lady's crazy. She's telling me there's a spirit in here. It's just a crystal ball, whatever. But as soon as they took that trade in, weird stuff started happening in that shop.
It's like nowadays on eBay when you read a description about something that's like being described as a haunted item, it's most likely the seller just making up a story to try and let their thing sell for a little bit more.
Yeah.
But do you really want to find out?
No, thank you. I don't want, anytime I see anything that looks haunted, like just a doll or anything, I'm like, no thanks.
We don't go to yard sales anymore.
I don't
we don't do antique shops.
No.
None of it.
No, I'm good. Thank you. Sometimes I'm even scared of stuff at Goodwill. Anyway, so weird stuff started happening. Then the Pharaoh's treasures turned into Sheila's magic shop, and they kept the crystal ball. So it said that this spirit in the crystal ball is the reason why random objects move back and forth throughout the night. They move to different places and things like that. Strange things kind of happen here. And it could be anything. It could be Nora in the crystal ball. It could be other ghosts.
I'm totally picturing the crystal ball in the haunted
mansion.
The
haunted mansion?
Yeah.
That's what oh my gosh. The entire time I was writing that whole section, I was like, that's all I see. And now I really want to go to Disneyland.
She's named Sheila to me from now on.
Oh my God. So the final one that I'm going to tell you about is the spirit of Arthur Goodwin. And he was the nephew of the actual developer of Pike Place Market, Frank. That's his name. He actually helped in the development of the market himself, and he was the market director for 20 years.
Wow.
So he worked there for a really long time, and his office was above all the shops. So he was often seen looking out of the window in his office to see like everything that was going downstairs. And his death wasn't anything strange or morbid or remotely interesting. He was just there for so long, you know? And I think when you're there every single day for so long, and if you have fond memories of it too, like watching the people moving around.
So you stamp your existence onto it. It's like you imprint on it like Jacob and that unborn child or whatever. Stop. Just such an absurd plot point.
His office is now the Goodwin Library and is used as a conference room. Many employees and customers claim to see an entity that resembles Arthur Goodwin, spotted through the Goodwin Library window. And some even claim to see him swinging a golf club.
Wow.
I think that's kind of cool, because I bet he did that during his lifetime, you know?
Swing a golf club?
Yeah, in his office.
At least once? Oh, you mean in his office, like when he was just hanging out there?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like something a person would do who's in charge of like a marketplace. It's a very capitalist thing. Like, I can't wait to not be working so I can golf. It's like The Mask. Does everyone remember the movie The Mask with Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
They're conducting business and they're committing crimes, but they're still golfing in an office because that's what you do.
The first movie with Cameron Diaz.
It was introducing Cameron Diaz.
There are other spirits here, and there's so many. There's just so many different things. It's hard to talk about all of them in detail because some of them are just like, this happens all the time and that's it, you know. So there are dueling spirits in the Mr. D's, which is a Greek food place, in Mr. D's walk-in fridge. So whenever there's any action and stuff around that area, all the employees refuse to go down there.
Wow.
Then there's a ghost that knocks off the same book off the shelf every day at the Shakespeare and Company bookstore. So every day this person comes in.
This just sounds like a really nice day of traveling, because I'm hearing like Greek food, bookstore. You're saying some key phrases that really intrigue me.
And then supposedly there's even a ghost named Frank. I don't know if it's like Frank Goodwin. Frank?
The Frank.
Yeah. But he just likes to introduce himself to people.
And then disappear.
Yes, so I think that'd be funny.
Introduce yourself, you go to shake their hand passes like, right through you.
Whoa!
You're like, ha-ha! And you disappear. Oh, Frank.
I think that'd be a fun thing to play, like a prank to play on
Fun
people.
thing to do for eternity to mortals.
These days, it is a place full of top-notch dining and shops to check out. It's actually one of the most visited attractions in Seattle. There are about 600 vendors there. It's a lot of freaking vendors. It's definitely a top-notch place for finding your produce and proteins. Got fish markets, meat markets, things like that. I would definitely love to check it out myself someday. I think that would be so freaking cool. There's even a crafts market, which is totally up my alley. It just sounds like a really fun place to spend a few hours, you know? I would literally, we could spend hours, like go there for breakfast, walk around all the shops and stuff like that. And by fucking whatever, it'll be noon or something, and it's like food time.
Yeah,
and just
food
eat
time again.
Oh my gosh, I really want to go. Okay, Then there's this thing that I sent you a picture of. This kind of gross thing that they call the gum wall.
Yeah, I was wondering what that was about.
And it's literally just a brick wall covered in chewed up blobs of gum that have been stuck there by people. Obviously, animals can't chew up gum and stick there.
It's not like, I don't know, it's just not hygienic. In these times of COVID, it sounds like a wall of germs.
It's been around since the 90s, and they've scraped it off multiple times. In 1999, the market decided to keep it, which is fucking gross.
Sounds kind of lazy, actually. Yeah, whatever. Just leave the wall there. We'll call it the gum wall.
I just imagine
it'll be a tourist attraction.
I imagine they have to change their policy now. 2020.
It's gotta. It's just
you gotta.
It's so horribly unhygienic, especially when like particulates specifically from your mouth are so easily transferable. It's like, let me just stick my gum riddled with bacteria on this wall and hope it doesn't pass its way.
Gross.
Yuck.
Overall, it just seems like a really interesting place to be, and even the ghosts don't want to leave, so it's pretty cool.
Wow. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to have to visit it. I don't think we'll attach this one to a Patreon goal unless
I think
we go through it and really review it. I think it's just someplace we're going to want to go to at some point.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. Good stuff.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So before I get into my topic, we're going to take a quick commercial break, so please stick around.
Why did you have to say that?
It's an Arnold quote. I've done this like 4 times. Just let the commercial start. And we're back. Cool. I don't have an Arnold quote for this side of the commercial break. But this week...
Why don't you say, I'll be back when the commercial starts?
Oh, man. That is so much better than stick around. No. Okay, anyways. This week, I really wanted to cover an alien encounter. I've kind of been fiending to cover an alien encounter. I've been thinking about it a little more each day, but I decided that I committed to doing Extraterrestrial October, so I'm going to wait until October starts. We're still in the middle of September to remember, so I decided to really go with our roots on the show. I was also thinking about an email that we had in our last episode of Storytime that mentioned a sighting of a Black Panther in Alabama. It reminded me of another creature that we've had on our list for a while. And I've come across and I've started investigating every now and then and decided, no, I'll save it for later. But it's just about another creature that just seems to be hanging out in the wrong place. It's not supposed to be there and no one knows why it's there or if it's even real. So, dear listener, I present to you the Beast of Exmoor. The first question I had when it comes to the Beast of Exmoor, maybe the same question you have right now, where is Exmoor? Is it in some fantastical, magical, faraway land?
It sounds like it's somewhere in the UK.
It is 100% in the southwest of England. It's not actually a town or a city. It's more of like a region that includes several other towns or cities or spots in southwest England that runs from essentially like the center of the southwest portion of the landmass north until it hits the coastline of the Bristol Channel. The region is home to Exmoor National Park, which is where a lot of the sightings take place, which is a wonderfully green area, and as you branch out, there's lots and lots of farmland and woods and moors. If you look at it from the sky... Exmoors. If you look at it from the sky like you were a bird, I'm like a bird, there's actually quite a bit of farmland in this area. Like, there's lots of open fields, and it seems like there's almost a mosaic pattern. If you look at the picture I'm going to post on our Facebook/Instagram, you'll notice the bottom of the picture of the Google Maps image I'm posting does have a mosaic feel to it, and it's because there's a bunch of tree lines serving as borders between very small plots. And if you were to actually go on Google Maps and zoom in, there are even more than you would expect. And I describe this to you because this countryside honestly reminds me a lot of where I grew up. It's very green, it's very open, and it's very rural. And side note, rural is a hard word for me to say because I always sound like a crazy person in my head when I say it. So if it sounds weird coming out of my mouth, it's because I don't say it with confidence. But a lot of the places that I grew up around have tree lines that serve as property borders.
Right.
So you know that your like property line is somewhere in like a small like 3 to 6 foot tree line, maybe even larger.
What if trees just pop up in random places?
Then you don't say it's your new line. It just means you got a new tree. I'm very confused about your question.
Well, okay, so say...
How do the trees know?
Shut up! Oh my god.
We mentioned this last year, but we were driving, we were talking about the leaves changing colors. And it's like Robin's brain shut off for a second. And she's like, how do the trees know? like when to change the colors, and I was like, oh, they all get a fancy tree memo that says it's fall. Like the temperature drops, the leaves are dying.
Okay.
What's your question? I'm sorry for making funny. What's
all
your
right.
question about what if you get a random tree somewhere?
So okay, what if the tree line isn't like straight? Because you don't plant trees in like exactly
No.
dot.
It's just you still have property lines drawn on a map somewhere. You just know the general area is somewhere in the tree line.
Okay.
And typically you don't tend to dig towards that because you know it's establishing, one, privacy, and two, your property line. Unless you're asshole neighbors that moved in next to my parents when I was just moving out who decided to cut down tree line 6 feet into their property line and then be like, oh, well, we don't have money. We can't pay for it. And yeah, they're just fucking dickheads. Anyways, they said some horrible other things that I'll just leave off the podcast. But maybe for a live show. So what's interesting about this particular cryptid is that it does not have a history that goes way back to the long, long ago. Unless you consider the 1970s, the long, long ago. And some of our younger listeners almost certainly do. And I was born in 1985, so I will say that that is the long, long ago and stick it to the old people. Okay, boomers? What's up? Reports started to come around in the 1970s, late 1970s, about a creature being seen in the local area of Exmoor that seemed to be, to put it bluntly, a huge black cat. At first, most of the people taking the reports of the sightings were writing things off about the locals either being confused or full of shit. Like, I just imagine a scene where someone's like, oh, Mrs. Thompson's on the phone again saying there's a huge cat roaming around. And I didn't know what accent I'd do because it's totally not going to be British because I can't pull it off anymore. But someone else is just like, just hang up on her. It's just, you just ignore things because you think it must be fake. And legitimately, the local authorities decided these folks must be exaggerating when they were describing the creature's size, or that they were seeing what's most likely a dog and not a cat wandering the countryside. That wasn't a big deal, because some folks would have, like, bigger dogs for hunting or something like that. They basically crafted a version of what they were being told to ensure that, one, the person reporting it was either stupid or lying, and that what actually was out there was harmless. And this went on throughout the late 70s for various folks around the Exmoor area, and then 1983 hit. And in 1983, a lot of things changed. And shout out to the book, The Encyclopedia of Strange and Unexplained Physical Phenomenon. For some of these details, it is a wonderful resource. Shout out to archive.org. It is my lifeline at this point. In the spring of 1983, a man named Eric Lay of South Moulton, Devonshire, or Devonshire, as the locals probably don't call it because I have really hard times pronouncing anything that has shire in it because it's like sure or shire.
Shire.
Baggins. But anyways, this guy had something kind of odd happen. He noticed an unidentified roaming animal. I've read multiple accounts of what happened to this guy. Some say he saw it. Some say he just saw something going on with his livestock. And I decided that an unidentified roaming animal should be known as a URA. I made it up. Let's see if it'll catch on. Probably not.
Oorah.
But something was going on with his livestock, and he ran outside to see what was happening. Before he could really understand what was going on, a creature attacked one of his ewe, which is a female sheep. And it's actually pronounced... It's actually pronounced ewe!
Oh my god.
Which is a Letterkenny reference. Sheep are decent size, you know. Sheep are not small, especially when they're full grown. And a house cat, which is basically what this thing had been written off as, like someone saw a big house cat or a dog, would not be able to do much damage to a sheep. But this animal downed the sheep immediately and viciously.
Wow.
Eric ran out to check on the animal, and the creature retreated. In the short amount of time that the attack took place, the creature had ripped out the throat of the ewe.
Oh my god.
Completely. The thing was dead by the time it got there.
That's so sad.
Local authorities came out and examined the downed animal. I imagine them leaning down, pointing at the torn out throat and saying something like, well, that's your problem right there.
What? God.
I had an ex-girlfriend who wanted to break up with me because she blew out a flat tire. She blew out a tire on the freeway, and I went to go pick her up, and I like leaned down by the tire and like made it look like I was going to fix it. I was like, it's your problem right there. She's like, fuck you, Adam, it's not funny.
She broke up with you because of that?
She wanted to. She was super pissed at me. We were going to a Cubs game, too. It was like for my birthday. And I had to like turn around and go back because she took a different car. It's a long story. Whatever. What matters?
Why was your girlfriend driving a different car?
She took a bunch of people, and then my other friend drove a bunch of people, and we had different cars. Because she was driving, and then my other friend was driving. She's like, girls only car. Which meant that they were probably going to get fucked up on the way to the game. And I was like, nah, I'm good. This is a true story. This is 100%
Oh my God.
true,
Okay, hold on. Tangent corner,
This is Tangent Corner. So we were driving up there, and it's a bunch of dudes in a car. We're jammed into Lucas's Honda Element, which are not big SUVs, but they're big enough. We have like 8 guys like sitting like nuts to butts in there.
What?
And we're driving, and we're like talking and laughing and listening to music. And the music like fades out, and like something kind of washes over us all at the same time. And my buddy Lucas, who is a wonderful human being, just utters the words, I really feel like we should have taken the tickets from those dumb bitches before we left.
Oh, no.
And I was just like, yeah. And then like 10 minutes later, sure enough, we got the call. Like, they blew out a tire. We got there. It was a fucking mess. Anyways, getting back to this creature, all right? Some things about this attack on this female sheep stood out. The first was that the creature was clearly the size that had originally been reported in the decade prior leading up to this, or the 5 or so years leading up to this, and not the size of a local house cat, even if it had gotten fat, or even that of a dog. Signs from the attack pointed away from an animal like a dog, in fact, because what's interesting about it, and it was noted immediately, is that the ewe was not taken down from behind. Dogs and foxes tend to attack the back legs or hind quarters of animals to get them on the ground.
Yeah, our dog does that.
Yeah, our dog does that to our other dog whenever we're playing with her. She attacks her fucking back feet. And the ewe had its throat ripped out. And the viciousness of the attack made the involved parties investigating realize that they were looking for some sort of beast. They weren't sure what it was, so they just went with beast. And that's where the nickname the Beast of Exmoor came from. Now, I was curious about the size of local wolves in this area. It's wooded. I grew up in wooded areas. I know that there are wolves out there. You can hear wolves howl sometimes. So I'm like, I wonder how big they are and if they knew right away they weren't dealing with wolves. So I did some investigating into wolves local to England, in particular southwest England, to see. And you know what I discovered? And I did not know this, and anyone living in England is like, duh. Wolves are extinct in England.
Shut up.
There are no wolves in England.
No
and
way.
not only that, they've been extinct in England since around the turn of 1000 AD.
How?
Because back in the day, servants to the king could actually be granted land if they would rid the entire land they were given of wolves. They didn't want wolves hunting things on their land, and they were hunted to extinction by like 1000 AD. I had no fucking clue. I looked everywhere until I started finding articles like, why are wolves extinct in England? I was like, I did not know that. So in 1983, when they did the investigating, the guy who was like, well, that's your problem right there, was like, I bet it's not a wolf. And he's probably right.
What if it is? What if there's just one lone wolf out there?
You never know. But I will say, things are going to get kind of interesting here. So they get a description that they'd heard before, which I haven't given you yet, so I'm going to give it to you now. It was a jet black feline-looking creature, taller than the sheep while on all fours with a long tail. From nose to tail, it was estimated to be around 8 feet long, which is a long ways. I'm 6'1". If I lay down, that's 2 more feet.
Did you hear that the cat from the long cat meme is dead?
The long cat meme?
Yeah, that white cat that's just super, it's just a meme where the cat has super long body. It died.
I did not hear that. Thank you for introducing me to a new meme and then making me sad.
You just described a really long cat, so that just reminded me of it.
Good to know. Getting back into the story and out of Tangent Corner again, Britain's Royal Marines were actually called in to investigate and ultimately hunt the creature because at this point, examining what had happened, they decided they actually had something they needed to hunt down. And knowing that many hands make light work, someone also decided to enlist local hunters. Not much was done to enlist them. There wasn't like a scene from Jaws where someone draws a picture of a fucking shark on the board or anything.
I just imagine it's like Monster Hunter where there's a billboard and all these hunters go
Everyone goes to the tavern and they order up some fucking food and it gets cooked by a samurai cat and then you just fucking go hunting. No, but like they just offered a reward. They put it out there, £1,000 to anyone who could capture or kill the creature, which is a good amount of money, especially in 1983, you know? Something I would like to note really quick, and this is going to be kind of a sidestep. Everyone has the idea at this point that they're looking for a Black Panther, you know? And we've had multiple people mention Black Panthers, and what I didn't know, I kind of always knew, is that a Black Panther isn't a specific type of animal, you know? There isn't a creature out there called the Black Panther. A Black Panther can be a tiger, a jaguar, a leopard, even a snow leopard, even a lion. Anything that comes from the genus panthera, not to be confused with the Pantera, can be a black panther, technically. A black panther is when you have any of those cats, any of those types of cats, that have the particular color variant, which is rare, that causes them to come out completely black. And what's interesting about this is that despite the fact that their pigment is almost entirely black, their markings are still there.
Yeah.
Which is evident in our Black Panther, Arya, our tiny little cat.
Well, you can see stripes on her body.
When she lays in the sun, you can see stripes on her. Otherwise, she's completely black.
Yeah.
We told Liz, Robin's sister, she actually has stripes, and Liz is like, no, she doesn't. It's like, if she lays in the sun, you can totally see stripes on her.
Yeah, she has stripes.
Because she's not a black cat. She's a different type of cat that's just completely black.
Yeah.
It's just the pigment of her fur.
There is... It's like when you see those leopards or whatever, they're black, but you can still see their spots.
Yeah.
They're just darker spots.
They just need to be in the sun, or you need to be up close, which you typically don't want to be.
I want to touch one up close.
What's funny is that most of the time, this typically occurs to leopards in Asia and Africa.
Leopards.
And in the Americas, it occurs to jaguars. So I know I'm saying it the UK way, and I'm just going to keep going with it. But it's weird to think that based off of the region, the pigment of the cat's fur is going to change. So jaguars are typically black panthers in Americas. Over there in Asia and Africa, it's leopards. It can happen to lions. It's just exceedingly rare. There's never been a documented black lion. If you see one on the internet, it's fake. They've never taken a picture. They've never captured one. They've never seen one. But there's legend of places where it's like there's a black lion, and supposedly if there's a black lion, it's always going to be the patriarch or the matriarch of whatever pride of lions it's in, because they're just like revered by the other animals, and in a lot of cases worshipped. But you're never supposed to see one.
Scar had a black mane.
I fucking hate you. That's the thing, though. One of the rarest forms of lions have black manes.
Really?
Yeah, I was reading all about pigment in cats, and I was like, I could go down this really long hole about cats all day, but I'm not gonna. We're gonna get back to it. So the Royal Marines placed sharpshooters in the hills in the Exmoor area to search for the animal and destroy it, and all of these trained soldiers came up empty. They did not come away from the incident stating they didn't believe an animal was out there. Multiple snipers came back after deployment and stated there was absolutely something out there.
Wow.
They claimed to have seen a creature that was, quote, black and powerful. It's like you can just see something's shoulders and know that it's a very powerful, very large animal. When they're asked why they didn't kill it, they said they're unable to because it never presented itself for a clear shot. It always knew they were there. It always knew how to hide. And they only saw it because it wanted them to see it.
Wow.
So it was
crazy.
Undoubtedly a clever girl.
Oh
so
my God.
Locals already kind of...
How many pop culture references are going to be
That's
through this
all I
whole
have
thing?
in my scripts, dude. You just don't notice half of them because you're 3.5 years younger than me. And you're like, oh my God, you're so old. I've never heard of Jurassic Park. She's never said that anyways.
I love Jurassic Park.
Who doesn't? All right, the locals already knew there was something out there. But this definitely put them on edge. This creature, whatever it was no longer roaming the hills. It was actually killing livestock. And I say that, but it had only killed one sheep at first. Over the course of the next 2.5 months, according to Eric Lay, the kill count went from one of his sheep to roughly 100 sheep.
Whoa.
His herd of sheep were essentially getting slaughtered out there. And they were all dying from the same viciously ripped out throat method of death. So whatever the beast was, it was attacking the jugular, which is a very cat-like thing to do.
So couldn't they just hide the sheep somewhere?
I'm sure he was taking preventative measures, but he just kept finding his sheep dead. And cats can jump. It's like you can't just put a fence up and be like, this will keep the cat out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Arya can jump, 3 feet?
She's literally jumped over my head before playing with toys. And I'm 6'1", so she can jump quite high. I will say the thing that he should have done was put a giant ball of yarn out there or a few boxes, and he would have just found the cat out there playing in it and been like...
If it fits, it sits.
Exactly. It's like, oh, mystery solved. So, the sightings continued to come in, and there were 2 types of sightings that were being reported. Actually, okay, let me back that up. There's 3 types of sightings. The first sighting was that of the Beast of Exmoor, as I've referred it to you. For every 5 sightings that were reported, 4 of them would be of a large cat-like creature, dark black, roughly 8 feet from tail to nose, being seen by locals. The second type of sighting that was coming in, the other one of those 5, so this is the dentist who didn't recommend that toothpaste, is of another extremely large cat, but folks were stating that it was not black, it was tan, which is a completely different color than black.
How big are mountain lions?
Cougars, mountain lions, pumas, stuff like that. they're not this big, but they're around that big. Like if you're in Canada or northern parts of the United States, like cougars or pumas, I mean, they're big cats, but I think they get to like 5 or 6 feet tail to nose. I'm not 100% sure on that. The descriptions are vague, but it almost sounds like an overgrown cougar. And by that, I don't mean a woman who's like single, 35 plus years old on the prowl for some sexy times. I mean like the actual animal. Very rarely, there was a third type of sighting, which is important here, and we're going to get back to it in a little bit. And it was that folks were seeing 2 large cats, one tan and one black, roaming about together, which is super fucking scary. The summer of the next year, 1984, a naturalist named Trevor Beer, which is a hell of a last name, had a run-in with a creature that is believed to be the Beast of Exmoor. He was bird watching near a deer carcass when he saw something watching him. He basically saw a dead deer and was like, "It's a really good place to look at birds."
I was going to say, why would you do that? Weird.
So he's just hanging out near this obvious kill, and this is the description he gave. Quote, "I saw the head and shoulders of a large animal appear out of the bushes." So something that's like hunched, that peeks out to be like, should I murder this person?
It's like Arya in attack mode.
Yeah, exactly. It looked black and rather otter-like, a first impression I shall always remember, for the head was broad and sleek with small ears. So perhaps it's a giant otter out of the water murdering sheep.
That's so...
He continues, "The animal's eyes were clear, greeny yellow. As it stared back at me, I could clearly make out the thickish neck, the powerful-looking forelegs, and deep chest, and then without a sound, it turned and moved swiftly away through the trees."
It sounds like a panther or something, really.
I love how elegant the language is here describing what he witnessed, you know? Mm-hmm. And America's like, "Everyone see a leprechaun, say yeah!" And then a whole group of people yells yeah. This is like
Yay.
Different. But he continues to go on. "That it was jet black, I was sure, and long in the body and tail. I guessed at 4.5 feet in body length and 2 feet at the shoulders. At this point..."
Is that, 2 feet tall?
No, it's like, shoulders? That's just how long. He's estimating parts of its body are. Like, he saw shoulders and head. He estimated that was like 2 feet long.
Oh, okay.
When he saw the body, he guessed it was, 4 to 5 feet. At this point, the thing runs away from him, okay? And he does, probably, let's be honest, one of the stupidest things.
Does he go after it?
He goes after it. He decides to chase it. It's like, that's the worst decision that you could make. He describes the creature as it retreated this way. "It ran like a greyhound, its hind legs pushing through its forelegs, and they seeming to go forward to hit the ground together." So the back legs are coming up at the same time the front legs are going down, and they're hitting the ground together. A beautiful, like very large black panther was my immediate thought. Yeah, it runs like a cat. It runs like a very fast cat. Scaryish disclaimer, if you ever encounter a black panther, cat cryptid, or any other creature that runs away from you, do not chase it. Even if it says, "Please chase me." And I'm going to go ahead and just adjust that to, especially if it says, "Please chase me," because that thing is probably Pennywise the Clown, and you just don't want to go after it. So, years pass, and locals just continue to report sightings, albeit brief, of the beast. Stuff like, "I saw it there, I saw it here," not face-to-face, not killing of livestock, although those did continue to come in.
It's like Chupacabra, where
it's just feeding off the land, but not taking enough where anyone's going to take it seriously since the first time they came down there and didn't get it. 1988 hits, and there's a documented sighting from a local farmer of a, quote, "fantastic cat going at a hell of a speed." He continued, "Every time it moved, you could see the lights shine back across its ribs," which just sounds weird. He claimed he had seen the cat multiple times in the past and had seen it, quote, "jump a hedge 15 feet from standing." So it wasn't running, it was standing. It jumped 15 feet with a fair-sized lamb in its mouth. So it grabbed a lamb and just went boing and just jumped over a hedge.
Like, Arya can jump really high. Imagine if she was...
Make her bigger?
Yeah, giant. She could freaking jump so... Oh my gosh, she could jump so high. It's terrifying.
I can't imagine trying to breathe while she was laying on my chest. It would be horrible. I would let her, to be clear, because if I didn't, I'm pretty sure she'd murder me. This thing, though, sounds like it's spending its life living off the livestock of the countryside and using the less accessible areas like the moors and the forest of the countryside to hide from people. It certainly seems like that's what's happening here. Now, I could give you more and more sightings of the creature, but they all kind of sound the same. I saw the thing, it did something very cat-like, it's completely black. But it's safe to say you kind of get the picture. By 1987, the livestock of the area had suffered more than 200 casualties, which didn't really grow proportionately as you thought it would because apparently, like, the first 2.5 months this thing was around, it just really hated Eric Lay and decided to kill 100 of his sheep.
That's so sad.
Sightings from locals continued through the 80s and into the 90s, and then the 2000s. In fact, the most recent sighting of the Beast of Exmoor came from 2017.
Wow.
There could have been more recent ones, but I could not dig it out. The most recent sighting I could find was 2017 from an article written in 2018. So rather than go over a bunch of the sightings and it was just, hey, I think I saw a Black Panther in the area, nothing super special. Let's speculate on what the thing could possibly be. And we're going to start at the outlandish and work our way from there. Some of the more frightfully inclined folks of the area, the people that are scared, tend to think that this beast is sent from hell to torment the folks of the countryside, which I find to be a bit dramatic. I get if it's ruining your livelihood by killing your livestock. It really feels like it's, a curse upon your family and farm or whatever, but I don't think it's sent directly from hell to torment these particular people.
What is that story, the Sherlock story, the Hound
of Baskerville?
Yeah, that's what this reminds me of.
A little bit, right? So, and there's so many like ghost or phantom creatures in England in general, but in this area in particular. I'm about to get to that. So others think this creature goes beyond just being a big cat. They don't think it's sent from hell, but they don't think it's just a big cat. They think that there's something supernatural about it. Two things in particular come up multiple times when you read articles about the Beast of Exmoor. The first is that its origin gives it a particular ability that is what allows it to cross over into our world in the first place. So yes, it is supernatural, and the theory is that the Beast of Exmoor actually comes from another dimension. Probably the dimension where Sex in the City is Sex and the City, or whatever the hell that thing is. The dimension where all the false memories come from. Exactly. The dimension where people make shit up where it's like, I didn't remember that correctly, so it has to be a Mandela effect from a different dimension. No, it has an innate ability to cross over from its dimension into ours, which explains how it got here and, most importantly, why it cannot be found anytime it is hunted. It just crosses back over and no one can find it. It's not hiding in a cave or in the local area.
Has anyone found, like, scat?
I mean, I'm sure people have found scat, but I didn't look up, like, Beast of Exmoor shit. So, I'm not sure. It's weird that you would ask that now during the crossing over into another dimension.
It's just like
you think it goes to the other dimension as shit? It's a shy pooper. Let me just blink into the ethereal dimension and drop a deuce really fast.
If they've never found big cat poop, how do they know? It's like it can't be real.
Maybe it digs and buries its poop. Like it has a big old litter box. Who knows? Obviously, this theory also sounds absurd, but let's not completely write it off. The other piece of this is that the supernatural origin of the creature grants it an unnaturally long life. Which, let's be real, it's been the better part of 50 years. Big cats live between like 15 and 17 years, depending on the breed, sometimes longer. But that said, this one still sounds pretty outlandish. It almost feels like folks want to attach something supernatural to this creature. It hasn't displayed any of these like shifting abilities it apparently has in any of the sightings folks have had with
People
it.
People just want to explain why they can't find it.
Yeah, it's just done things that a cat would normally do. Well, and by the way, this is totally the description of a creature known as a Displacer Beast, which is from Dungeons & Dragons. It only has a challenge rating of 3, so it's not that dangerous. The shifting ability is actually known as Displacement. It has 85 HP, so be kind of careful.
What if it's a werepanther?
I hate you so fucking much.
I mean, seriously.
So you want to add to the wild speculation that it could just be a person, or maybe people now at this point.
Twilight has taught me that werewolves live unnaturally long lives.
That's werewolves. We're talking about werepanthers, which is more True Blood territory at this point, which you can't get from getting bit. It's like Hereditary, I think. I can't remember. That was a weird season. So, God, that show got so bad. But anyways, these are weird theories. Let's get into some real theories that could be feasible here. In 1995, the Ministry of Agriculture, and probably Magic also, studied the area known as Bodmin Moor, which is roughly 60 miles away to the southwest. There's another creature known as the Beast of Bodmin Moor that is another phantom cat. Very similar in time frame to the sighting starting, very similar in behavior, and after studying the region for 26 days, the ministry declared that the cats of the area didn't exist. The big cats didn't exist. They were either a hoax perpetrated by the folks of the region that were all in it together, or they were gross misidentifications of native creatures to the area. So they're just saying either you're lying or you're dumb. My favorite part of the report that was filed was this line, quote, "It was accepted at the start of this investigation that it would never be possible to prove such an animal or animals did not exist. But it was believed that if they did, hard evidence would be forthcoming." Basically, they started the report by saying, there's no way we can prove it's not here, but we might be able to prove it is here. And then they waited 26 days and declared it wasn't there, and people were either stupid or full of shit, which is just so not good science. There are multiple beasts in this area, actually. Exmoor, Boddenmoor, Beast of Plymouth, which Plymouth is 60 miles southeast-ish, more east than south, of Boddenmoor. In fact, Plymouth is around 70 miles south of Exmoor. It's like if you look at these particular spots on a map, it kind of forms a triangle. Any 3 points are going to form a triangle, but it kind of forms a really good triangle. Almost like someone had some wild cats and let them loose back in the 70s or something, and some of them took to specific parts of this area. And my next bullet point says, and if Tiger King has taught me anything, big cats, 1, aren't that hard to get, but 2, are super hard to take care of after they're like 8 months old. They're super expensive. Enter a lady named Mary Chipperfield. She was a British circus entertainer who had a place called Plymouth Zoo. Guess where it was? Plymouth. Where she had, of course, big cats. It shut down in 1978. In 1978, she was supposed to ship out 5 pumas from her zoo. Someone showed up to pick them up. There were only 2 cats present.
Shut up.
No one knows what happened to the other 3. No one has ever figured it out. Most folks assume she just set them loose into the wilderness to go and roam free and not be part of captivity or shows any longer. That is like the generally held belief that she has never really disputed. So why wasn't she held accountable for releasing 3 big cats into the wild then? Why wasn't there an investigation into it, you know? It probably has something to do with the fact that it wasn't illegal in England to release exotic species into the wild until 1981.
Really?
In 1970, it's like just, yeah, fucking whatever. Alien, cool, let it go. Displacer beast, let it blink everywhere. Godzilla,
God.
can't do anything about it. Hopefully it doesn't grow up. So if 2 of these wild cats went to the same spot together, like maybe Exmoor, where they've seen 2 together, or nearby enough where they could find each other every now and then, like, hey, you up? And one was male and one was female, it would certainly explain why the beast has been seen for 5 decades, because the beast isn't one beast. It's multiple beasts of the same lineage, and of course 2 cats could survive in a countryside on a few hundred square miles with a bunch of places to hide and tons of fucking livestock and farms, and a ministry that says you don't exist. And maybe the killing spree in 83 was because the 2 beasts seen in Exmoor had babies. And they were killing things to feed this litter of smaller, eventual giant black panthers or normal panthers. You know, it could just be the tan one was seen and it's what the thing actually is, which in this case was a puma. And that's what my theory is. A big cat person, which we've all been told are pieces of shit at the beginning of the Joe Exotic documentary, said, well, my zoo went out of business. And now I unleash these big cats upon the world. Like, that was just retribution. Or they just liked the cats so much they didn't want to see them penned up anymore. And 2 of those cats made kittens that got big and stuck to the land that their parents had settled in. I fucking hate you. And they just continue to hunt through the area. And it's also certainly possible that more animals have been released over the years, you know?
Yeah.
It's not just one person that could have released an animal, and they just wound up taking on the moniker of the beast of insert town here, you know?
Yeah.
It's just a wild cat someone had, and I think it seems far more likely than the townsfolk are morons or liars, or it's a demon from hell or a different dimension. And I wouldn't have come to this conclusion so easily without Joe Exotic showing me how horribly exploited big cats are and how many people out there have them. You can get a cat for $2,500. Like, that's a stimulus check in the United States.
Oh my God.
It's fucking nuts, man.
It's like the people releasing alligators into the sewers. Or lizards or whatever.
Same idea. You get a pet, you can't take care of it, you just let it go. There's no way to know for sure, but I will say it would be pretty cool if it turned out to be a displacer beast roaming and we just realized by doing this triangle experiment that its range of teleportation was around 80 miles. And that, my spooky friends, is the Beast of Exmoor.
Nice. Thank you. That was fun.
Hope you enjoyed it. It was a fun cryptid one where I was like, this is totally a big cat that exists. And then when I got to like, how has it been around for 50 years? Then it's like, it's not just one cat. Like, they've seen multiple cats. Then I found that lady who shut down her zoo. I'm like, this chick started this whole thing.
You got so excited when you're finishing your script. You're like, oh man.
It's like, I found you, bitch! So yeah, not 100% sure confirmed, but it certainly seems likely that at least the incidents from like 78 to 83 were all tied to big cats that were released in that area. So who knows, though? Without admission and then maybe some evidence, some hard evidence, we'll probably never know for sure. But I certainly think that there are big cats roaming around down there. So yeah. Be careful. There's also
I can't believe there's no wolves.
There's no wolves. They have no competition, you know? So anyways, Beast of Exmoor. Hope you enjoyed it. All right, so I think that's everything we have for episode 145. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you all. I would also like to say, if you've never gone over to youtube.com/Scaryish, we would appreciate if you did. Click subscribe. Subscribing on YouTube costs absolutely nothing, but we're almost at 1,000 subscribers. There's 2 milestones to hit on YouTube. One is 1,000 subscribers. The other is 4,400 hours watched by our subscribers. So if you haven't seen any of the extra content we've put out, if you've never watched a live episode of Scaryish, that's a great place to do it. Also, the Scaryish episodes on YouTube typically don't have ads, so that's a good place that you can check them out as well. And it really would help us out if you would check out some of the content over there, because if we get to those 2 milestones, we get what's known as YouTube Partner, which means the ads that get put on the videos would actually make us money instead of just YouTube. So if you could help us out with that, that would be absolutely wonderful. We've had a recent influx of folks going over to YouTube and subscribing, so shout out to everyone who's done that for us. Check out some of the stuff we have posted there, and there's always going to be new and more stuff to come. So we appreciate you all. So if you have a story you would like to share with us, whether it's about big cats, supernatural, paranormal, true crime, whatever it may be, you can email storytime@scaryish.com or go to our website, scaryish.com, and click on Contact Us. Fill out that form. It comes directly to us. Or you can hit us up on any of our social medias. Instagram is @ScarishPodcast. Twitter is @ScarishPod. And Facebook is facebook.com/ScarishPodcast. Robin, for folks who would like to donate to us monetarily, how can they do so?
You can head on over to patreon.com/ScarishPodcast, and those are monthly donations. Tiers start at $1. So if you folks want to do ad-free episodes, that's a great way to do it.
Also important to note, Patreon is the only spot where you can get early access to all of our content, so another reason to sign up for as little as $1.
We also have physical merch tiers, too. I ordered the new Nessie charms and the Wendigo and Krampus charms that I'm going to be sending out.
So many charms got ordered.
So many charms. So those will be the physical rewards that are going to be going out for the next few months, like for the next year, pretty much. And yeah, what else is there? Oh, coffee. You can go to ko-fi.com/Scaryish podcast, and those are one-time donations. All your donations go to helping us upgrade our studio setup and kind of keep this podcast going.
Yeah, keep this train a-rolling, this gravy train with biscuit wheels.
Oh my gosh.
So thank you so much to all the new listeners. Thank you so much to all the old listeners. Thank you so much to all the medium listeners. We appreciate every single one of you. It's been really cool to see. It's just been awesome to get a shout out from a fellow content creator. I won't lie, it was super amazing. Robin ran out of the bathroom. I was like, oh my God! I was like, what happened? And she told me, I was like, that explains why we've had an influx of new folks downloading the show, and it's pretty exciting. So great stuff. Thank you one more time to Jessica Braun. And yeah, I think that's just about everything we have for episode 145. So unless I missed anything, Robin, go ahead and sign us out.
Keep on creeping on, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye-bye.